Okay, so Otter and I are introducing this video. This is the first one that you'll do today. The first in the series of two anyway for this week. And it's about the types of websites that are available to you online. Otter, look in the camera and say, watch this video. Okay, so it's about the kinds of websites that are online, which seems kind of silly because we spend so much time online. But we hardly ever actually pay attention to the things that we're reading. Stop licking me. And if we're going to use them for scholarly sources or as sources in our research, then we have to start looking at them with a critical eye. So the first video you watch is is about the types of websites, and the second one is about critically evaluating them. And there will be some quizzes about them on Moodle. Oh, God, so spoiled. Slide shows us very simply the different kinds of websites that are available to us on the World Wide Web. Remember that even though we surf the web every day, we don't actually critically think about what we're viewing, about who's responsible for posting that content, who their target demographic or audience might have been when they composed it versus the audience that they actually achieved. Those two things sometimes not the same at all. And let's not forget that according to a 2011 New York Times survey, more than 75% of the net is still porn, right? So regardless of our own personal habits, all of these websites are out there and available to us. And when we start to do research, even research as straightforward as what kind of job do we want, what sort of career path do we want to follow, we're going to interact with virtually all of them. Okay, so first up are the most common, which are of course .coms, com being short for commercial. And commercial websites, of course, are sponsored by profit, either for sales of products, sales of services, or in fact the promotion of ideologies. So even though that's not a point listed on this slide, it's absolutely the third thing that's always for sale online. Sales of products, services, and ideologies. And oftentimes we find a fabulous mix of these. And our screenshot at the bottom here is Amazon, who of course is hawking fabulous Rachel Ray cookware to go into your new college dorm or apartment, right? Most commercial websites are controlled and or guided by cookies. And most of us know what that is, or at least we've heard of it. And essentially they are little traces that pay attention to where you go when you're online and what you click on and what you're interested in. We see them all the time in social media. In Facebook, we're on the far right. If we've been online shopping for pots and pans, for instance, all of a sudden we'll see ads everywhere we go for pots and pans. If we have been on CVS's site looking for cold medicine, then all of a sudden we'll see all sorts of ads to cure everything that ails us. The next sort of most common website is the .org, which of course is short for organization. And these are predominantly advocacy websites. It's important to remember that sometimes these genres of websites bleed over. In other words, you can have a .com that is an advocacy website. It simply means that without a 501c3 or a 501b, I think it is, which is a tax designation for a nonprofit organization, we sometimes feel that, oh, well, if it's an org, then it's a nonprofit. And that's actually not true anymore. .coms can be nonprofit and .orgs can be for-profit. But in general, .orgs are advocacy websites. And so their primary objective is to convince you of something. This is a still from one of my favorite websites, mainly because I like to pick on them, which is PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. So PETA's website is an excellent example of an advocacy website. There's not a whole lot of gray area there. I use it as an example because It's very easy to see that their mission statement is supported on almost every fly-in, every ad, every link to other stories, for instance. There are multiple ways in which they are advocating their cause and encouraging you to get involved. Remember that advocacy websites don't just support a position on a moral, ethical, or social issue, but they actively want to influence public opinion and ultimately drive public action. So they're interested in actually changing regulation, encouraging governments to, in fact, ban certain things. And they act as watchdogs, self-appointed and otherwise, to other agencies like the FDA, for instance. So even in links to other campaigns that they're launching, you'll see that they're interested in regulating and obviously criticizing how animals are treated in the circus. On TV shows, this one is about Canada's sealing industry with this nice little graphic of a man about to club a cute little seal, as well as the meat and poultry production in our country. Right? They have veggie starter kits if you're interested in becoming a vegetarian. So they're full of information. So they are in fact educational in many ways, but their main primary goal is to influence their viewer. News sites are a particular type of .com. We go to them every day, and they are one of the most reliable online, but still not as reliable as .edu or .gov, which we'll get to here in a minute. I've given an example here in this slide of BBC News, which is one of my favorite news sources, but you'll notice that there's an ad for Kayak, which is a online travel service. So that's a really good example there of my cookies being tracked as I've been online looking for flights. Educational websites and .edu and government websites .gov are the two most reliable types of websites available to us. On average, 3 sets of eyes read every piece of information before it's posted to a .edu, and on average 5 sets of eyes read every single piece of information before it is posted to a .gov. So as far as gleaning information that is accurate, data that can be trusted and usually is either cited or can be easily verified, these are your 2 most reliable types of websites, .edu, .gov. Personal websites are the least reliable. Pretty much anyone who is a doofus with web server access can post to a .com. So they're going to showcase an individual's interests and ideas regardless of whether or not those are inflammatory. Blogs, like the ones that we do for our class, are usually available to the entire internet population, but they do have controls on them. So you can control, if you want a personal blog, you can control who sees it and who doesn't. This is an example of a very well thought out personal website, and it's obviously being used as an online resume. Military websites used to be .mil. Very few of these exist. The Obama administration has been streamlining .mil into .gov, so oftentimes you're redirected. But again, highly reliable. .gov and .edu are the 2 most reliable types of websites available for us. Advertisements come in all forms. We are really familiar with them. I love this little parody blog about the eClown check. But we're all familiar with pop-ups and banners, and there is a variety of software that can be installed on your laptop or personal computer to get rid of some of these. And if you're interested in spamware, malware, installing more of that kind of thing on your computer, you can always call 5200, which is Elon's IT, and they will advise you and hook you up. Entertainment websites are enormously popular. They are systematically taking the place of the same in print media. The Onion, in fact, I don't think even prints even more at all. It's magazine, it's all online. So things like Gorilla Mask or the Daily Mail, TMZ, who this day is evidently focusing on the fact that Lindsay Lohan looks like a normal person. That's fabulous. So of course, this is a mixture. They're selling things, they're selling ideas, they're hawking celebrity fame, all that sort of flash and trash that we love. We don't have royalty in this country, we have celebrity instead. So the exploitation of that is big money. Okay, government and country websites. All governments have their own domain. So yes, our agencies have .gov, but sometimes they can be .us too. And every country has a different designation. So Belgium, for instance, would be .be. Britain is .uk, Pakistan .pk, etc., etc. You get the idea. But again, government websites on average have 5 sets of eyes that view every piece of information before it's posted. So while there's not going to be a complete view of things necessarily on a government website, for instance, there's not going to be a lot of controversy or criticism, everything you see there is factual. This is an example of Shropshire, which is the northernmost county in Britain before you get to Wales. So if you're thinking of visiting, I don't encourage it. There's more sheep than people, but you understand the basic gist of it. Discussion groups, social media need little explanation because we live there. We're increasingly tethered to Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. Now, I have LinkedIn listed as one on this website because, especially since your current module is about doing research for a dream job, I highly recommend that you get and start maintaining a LinkedIn.com profile. While I will not be your friend in Facebook, I will absolutely be a connection to you in LinkedIn, and you are never too young to start making those connections and building your network. If you have more questions about that, come and see me. I'm happy to tell you about it. Listservs have an asterisk beside them because they are a dying breed, and they're predominantly used within corporations or companies, organizations. We have several at Elon that still get used, but they're basically mass email accounts where a big community of people who have something in common, like the English department, are all put on. So that's the end of this first video. If you feel confident in your skills, if you've annotated well, then go ahead and take your Moodle quiz. You only get one shot at it, so make sure you feel prepared. Only after it closes will you get to see it again. Once everyone has a chance to take it, then it opens back. Oh God, it opens back up, and you can see all of the questions plus the answers and your answers as well. And then move on to the next video, which is critically evaluating websites, which also has instructions about how to proceed with your writing pods. Otter says, bye.